Breaking news from the New York Jets. They have fired Robert Saleh. This tweet coming from our own Tom Pelissero.
The Jets' decision to fire Robert Saleh. Is Aaron Rodgers to blame? The New York Jets fired coach Robert Saleh, and the overwhelming consensus is that it was done to cover up the lapses of one player. The New York Jets have officially parted ways with head coach Robert Saleh after just 5 games into the NFL season, a move that seemed both inevitable and shocking to the football world. After all, Saleh was brought in as the defensive mastermind who could turn around one of the most underperforming franchises in recent memory. But just a few years later, after a season filled with dashed expectations, the Jets decided it was time for a change. And as the dust settles, one question looms large. Is Aaron Rodgers to blame for Saleh's departure? The Saleh era, a roller coaster ride. To fully understand why Saleh was fired by owner Woody Johnson, it's important to revisit the expectations he carried into the 2023 season. Saleh was brought on as the head coach in 2021, fresh off his success as the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. His fiery passion, attention to detail, and ability to connect with players made him a perfect fit for a team looking for a culture reset. The Jets were in rebuild mode, and Saleh seemed like the guy who could lead them through it. For the first 2 seasons, the Jets were, to put it nicely, a work in progress. While the defense began to show signs of life, the offense struggled mightily, mainly due to an unsteady quarterback situation. Enter Aaron Rodgers, the future Hall of Famer who was supposed to change everything. The 2023 season was supposed to be the Jets' year. Rodgers, fresh off a trade from Green Bay, was expected to lead the offense while Saleh's defense kept opponents at bay. It was a match made in football heaven until it wasn't. Rodgers' injury, the catalyst for chaos. If there was a single moment that marked the beginning of the end for Robert Saleh, it was Aaron Rodgers' Achilles injury in Week 1. 4 plays into his Jets career, the quarterback who had been touted as the franchise's savior was done for the season. The stadium went silent, the dreams of Jets fans evaporated, and suddenly, Saleh found himself in uncharted waters. Without Rodgers, the Jets were thrust back into the familiar turmoil they had been trying to escape. Zach Wilson, the young quarterback who had struggled in his first 2 seasons, was thrust back into the starting role. But the game plan had been built around Rodgers, not Wilson. The offense was completely designed with Rodgers' skill set in mind. This put Saleh in a nearly impossible situation, one where he had to steer a ship that was built for a different captain. It's worth noting that no coach could have fully prepared for this kind of disaster. Rodgers was supposed to be the solution to the Jets' long-standing offensive woes, and when he went down, it felt like the season had been ripped away before it had even started. But the NFL is a league that doesn't wait for anyone. Coaches have to adapt, adjust, and find a way to make it work. Unfortunately for Saleh, he wasn't able to do that. A defense that couldn't do it all. To give Saleh credit, his defense remained one of the better units in the league. The Jets had a top 10 defense in terms of yards allowed, and their pass rush led by players like Quinnen Williams was formidable. But no matter how good your defense is, it can't compensate for an offense that can't move the ball or put points on the board. The Jets' offense, post-Rodgers, was a mess. Zach Wilson's inconsistency at quarterback didn't help, but the play calling and lack of offensive identity were glaring. Saleh, who had built his reputation on the defensive side of the ball, seemed unable to get the offense functioning effectively, even though he wasn't directly calling the offensive plays. In a way, this became Saleh's Achilles heel. While he focused on building a defense that could win games, he neglected the offensive side. In today's NFL, you need balance, and the Jets didn't have that. As the losses piled up, it became clear that Saleh was running out of time. The Aaron Rodgers factor, friend or foe? Which brings us back to Aaron Rodgers. While his injury certainly hurt the Jets, there's no denying that his presence in New York changed the entire dynamic of the team, and that includes Saleh's role as head coach. From the moment Rodgers arrived, it was clear that he wasn't just a quarterback. He was the face of the franchise. The Jets' front office, ownership, and coaching staff made it a priority to build a team around him. Even during training camp, it was obvious that the team's identity revolved around Rodgers. When he got hurt, the rug was pulled out from under everyone. Some analysts argue that Saleh may have placed too much trust in Rodgers to elevate the team. The entire offensive scheme was designed around Rodgers' strengths, from play-action passes to deep shots downfield. When Rodgers was gone, there was no backup plan. Saleh seemed caught off guard and unable to pivot. His coaching philosophy, which relied heavily on having an elite quarterback to mask other deficiencies, was exposed. It's also worth considering how much influence Rodgers had behind the scenes. He's known for being vocal, and there's no doubt he had a say in many aspects of the team. Could that have played a role in Saleh's firing? Perhaps ownership felt that keeping Rodgers happy was more important than maintaining the coaching continuity that Saleh brought. After all, the Jets have to think long-term, and they've invested heavily in Rodgers as their quarterback for at least the next couple of years. Aaron Rodgers struggled in the Jets' loss on Sunday, throwing 3 interceptions in a game where the offense failed to find rhythm. So far this season, Rodgers has completed 61% of his passes, averaging 218.6 yards per game. Despite showing flashes of his veteran prowess, he's thrown just 7 touchdown passes compared to 4 interceptions across the first 5 games. Rodgers, known for his precision and decision-making, has had an uncharacteristically inconsistent start. For a quarterback who boasts a career touchdown-to-interception ratio of nearly 5-1 and ranks second all-time in passer rating, these early season numbers are below expectations. Still, his leadership and ability to make big plays under pressure give hope that he can bounce back as the season progresses. For context, Rodgers is a 4-time NFL MVP with a career completion rate of over 65%. His 475 career touchdown passes put him among the league's all-time greats, and with over 60,000 passing yards, he's shown he's still capable of turning things around quickly. However, the Jets will need him to cut down on turnovers and return to his usual efficient play if they want to remain competitive in a tough AFC division. It wasn't me. Aaron Rodgers defends himself. Aaron Rodgers made it clear that he had nothing to do with Robert Saleh being fired as the head coach of the New York Jets, calling any claims otherwise patently false. During his regular appearance on the Pat McAfee Show on Wednesday, Rodgers addressed the situation a day after Jets owner Woody Johnson let Saleh go following the team's rough 2-3 start in his 4th season. There were rumors swirling around that Rodgers might have influenced Johnson's decision, but the quarterback was quick to shut him down. For anyone out there spreading these wild stories, I'll keep it brief. I completely resent those accusations because they're just false, Rodgers said. It's funny how much power people think I have, which I don't. Rodgers did confirm he had a call with Johnson on Monday night, but said the conversation was strictly about how he was feeling after spraining his ankle in Sunday's loss to Minnesota. Both he and Johnson stated there was no discussion about Saleh's future during that call. Saleh's shortcomings. Despite Rodgers' injury and his looming presence, Saleh is not without fault in this situation. His decision-making throughout the season raised eyebrows. The constant flip-flopping at quarterback, the lack of offensive creativity, and some questionable game management all added fuel to the fire. Take, for example, his handling of Zach Wilson. While Wilson was clearly not the answer at quarterback, Saleh's approach seemed indecisive. One week Wilson was the starter, the next he was benched, only to be brought back again. This instability didn't help the young quarterback's confidence, and it didn't help the team find any rhythm. Moreover, Saleh's teams seemed to falter in crucial moments. The Jets were in several close games this season, only to make critical mistakes or fail to execute when it mattered most. Whether it was blown coverages on defense or poorly timed offensive penalties, Saleh's squad often looked undisciplined. In the NFL, that's a direct reflection of the head coach. What's next for the Jets? So, where do the Jets go from here? Well, first and foremost, they'll need to find a new head coach, likely one that Aaron Rodgers approves of. Don't be surprised if they target someone with an offensive background, especially considering Rodgers will be coming back from his injury next season. Names like Nathaniel Hackett, who already has a relationship with Rodgers, or Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders, could be at the top of their list. The Jets still have a solid defense, and if Rodgers can return to form, they'll be contenders again. But this season is a stark reminder that no team, no matter how much talent they have on paper, is immune to the chaos that injuries can cause. For Robert Saleh, this may not be the end. He's still highly regarded as a defensive mind and will likely land a job as a coordinator somewhere, or even another head coaching role down the line. but his time in New York will always be remembered as a case of unfulfilled potential, a victim of bad luck, bad timing, and the crushing weight of expectations. At the end of the day, is Aaron Rodgers solely to blame for Robert Saleh's firing? No. Football is a team sport, and there were many factors at play. But there's no denying that Rodgers' injury and his overarching influence on the team played a significant role in shaping the Jets' 2023 season and ultimately Saleh's exit. Jets fans can only hope that the next chapter in this saga brings more stability and finally some long-awaited success. So what do you think? Is Aaron Rodgers really to blame for Robert Saleh's firing, or was this just another case of bad luck and high expectations? Either way, the Jets are in for a wild ride, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Will they bounce back with a new coach, or will the chaos continue? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of our future NFL updates. See you in the next video!